Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm going to start off in just a minute. One moment, okay? Okay, well, our marketing group's having a little trouble getting in, so I'm going to play the part of Brooke Bacon today. My name is Dan Schulteis, but for right now, I'm going to start off. Today, well, Brooke is supposed to be here. Hopefully, she'll be here for the end section. She's got a few things to bring up then. I'm Dan Schulteis, from the manager of Enterprise Consulting. And also with us today is Elena Tatelman. She's the director of Augmented Intelligence, and she's got some slides we want to talk about near the end of this as well. Okay, there's the safe harbor statement. Of course, everything you see here, you know, we've all been through this before. Blah blah blah. And we do have a few housekeeping things to talk about. If you've got some questions, please enter them in the webinar site. There's a little place for questions in there. You can actually put them in there. We'll try to get to those at the end of the presentation. Here's your housekeeping notes here. And I'll just answer your question. A little bit about GSI. I think most of you have been through some of these before. We've, full service consulting organization, Oracle Platinum partner. We do have offices across the country. There's, as you can see, all the little blues or dark blues there. We have headquarters in Georgia, but what people argue, I think Connecticut's got one in my office. I like to say that, even though it's not blue. Recognized on the Inc. 5000 list, and we've come up with a 100% guarantee of any services we put out there. We are a Oracle Platinum partner. I already said that. And we offer a lot of other things besides just JD Edwards. We are in doing NetSuite, ServiceNow, Salesforce.com, BMC. Okay, some of the custom products GSI does provide. We've got Genius AI, so augmented intelligence. I think Elena can talk a little bit about that later on as well. Genesis, which is our performance optimizer. It's very cool. It lets you do some modeling and testing with great quantities. It's really cool. Rapid Reconciler, also a homegrown product we've developed here. It lets you reconcile your inventory and some other things. It's also very nice. You should take a look at that. We have some thing called Rapid Approval, which is one of the things we've had trouble with in Salesforce, so we developed an app to make it work. It's very nice, lets you approve a lot of things at the same time. And we have G Shield, which is a relatively new product for us for our security. Lets you do some, password resets and two-factor authentication. Okay, so there's some awesome shots of Elena and I. We were laughing about our glamour shots here. That's what they put in there. Pretty funny. But anyway, let's get on to the presentation now. Really, the big question we have, and the reason why some of this resilience was brought up is, I mean, everybody's sick of hearing the words coronavirus. I know for a fact that my daughters have a drinking game when they watch the news about coronavirus. Whoever's closest without going over, they win, that type of thing. It's very funny, but it's not that funny. But because everyone wants to know when will it be over, it's really affected each and every one of us, one way or another. We really hope it's over relatively quickly. We can sort of return to, I'm air quoting, normal at some point. I really hope that we can actually get things back on the right track. And the big question everyone else is asking is this the last interruption we will encounter? Will there be another one of these with the flu, or it'll be something else? And my guess is at some point it'll be something else, whether it's flu or not. So one of the things we wanted to talk about here, what this has really done to all of our industries. Myself and about 4 other people went out and we started talking to clients old and new, and really wanted to find out how this is affecting them in their day-to-day life. And some clients are still thriving. They're the rarity. But there are a couple that are out there. They're very busy. They can't, they've got, all the raw material they need to get their stuff out. They've got, they've done things, but they're the rarity. Many others are hurting a lot. They've had to lay off a lot of staff, and the fact that the difficulties they're facing now, everybody's got. So their supply chain's interrupted, their customers are interrupted, everybody's interrupted. So the fact is, how do you prepare and how do you deal with the adversity that we're up against right now? Especially when your whole office staff works from home. And everyone's getting really good at Zoom and Teams, but that really doesn't help. Really doesn't help with decisions that have to be made. Really quickly. It doesn't help with the fact that where you had people on site, you can ask questions, you can stand up and prairie dog with the guy across in the next cube. You can't do that anymore, not as easily. So decisions take a little longer. Things just really take a lot longer, and it's sort of a problem. So how do we address these current issues, and how can you adapt going forward? Well, several obstacles are in everybody's way, and remarkably, almost everybody I talk to, they really have adapted pretty quickly. With the new workplace rules that are out there, found a way to break up their day, move people out, keep a lot of people from being in the same room at the same time. Whether that's we're going to talk about some of the workday reinventions type stuff like that. But it's really been really amazing. Supply chain interruptions are really hitting some companies really hard. Especially if they're dealing with like China or any of the Asian countries. They've already had their big interruption happen already because from the whole month of end of February and March there was just nothing coming in from China. So that was a big thing. I mean, currently right now even my Chewy.com, I'm still haven't gotten my dog food for it was due last week. So even that's taken a hit because they don't have the same amount of people that they would have normally. So that's a real problem. Workforce distancing. Again, people have adapted. They have figured out a way to not have 20 people in the same room and split it up so there's 6 feet between each other. They move their offices across the factory or whatever the case may be, figuring out a way to make distancing work. Again, transportation issues inbound as well as outbound. We've got people that are having trouble getting their raw materials, getting their stuff, obviously from their suppliers. But remember, a lot of times when you send stuff out, the customers aren't there either. They're only there on Tuesdays and Fridays to get their deliveries. So, you have to make amends to that. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of returns. It's an awful lot of extra work if you can try to avoid some of that. So, keeping in touch with your customers is also just as important. Flexing time. I was shocked and amazed at how fast people had decided. They usually have I'm going to use an example, a 7 to 7 shift. Suddenly now they're open at 5 a.m. and they're working until midnight because they had to stretch out their shifts to 2.5 shifts. The cleaning crew, okay, you always have a cleaning crew. They're now more than a cleaning crew. Now they're cleaning and sanitizing. And they have to do it between shifts, after every lunch break, after every break. Their job has now become very different than it was before. That's a big thing to deal with. Taking everyone's temperature before a shift and after a shift. Seems like, well, that's what you got to do. If you're going to have people in there, you got to make sure nobody's going to nobody's obviously infected, obviously. So, as they're leaving the shift, if they're a little warm, guess what? Come in tomorrow at a special time over here, and we'll check you again. If your temperature's up, you're not coming in. So that type of stuff, and that changes everything too, because all of a sudden now you've got some workers that aren't going to be there. So ultimately, the big question that we're kind of here today to talk about is, what can JDE do to help you? What can you do in JDE to help yourself? And a lot of these we just talked about. How can you make your current situation better? Reinventing your workday. Again, if it's a one-shift operation, it's great. Move it to potentially a two-shift. You still have to stagger your start times. You still have to stagger your lunches and breaks. Incorporate the sanitizing crew in between shifts and during shifts. So that's all important to do as well. And again, most of the time, everyone we've talked to have done something like that already. So it's really great. Watch lists. In JDE, you have watch lists out there, and they're important and they're timely. And, one of the things that you can do, because most watch lists are someone's personal job, that's what they want to keep an eye on, right? Well, that person may be working from 5 till noon, but they're not there from noon till 6 or whatever, during the rest of the day. You might want to share the watch list, share it with some other team members, or share it with your group, because what becomes important when you're there is just as important when you're not there. So that's stuff that you can do. It's simple and easy to do. Also considering some automation that you could probably do. Something that you can think about what you can automate to eliminate time gaps. When I say time gaps, I'm saying, you've entered an order and someone's got to know that there's a new order out there to jump on, or, whatever, if it's something that job runs like once or twice a day, maybe you run it more often, or maybe you set something up to do that. What can be automated to cover for illness? And I say illness, I'm also talking about, you've got layoffs, you've got furloughs, you've got things. What can be automated to cover for those people that are not there anymore? Think about that, and we'll touch on some of that when we get down to some of the orchestrations or developments later. But what can you do to make some transactions seamless internally as well as externally? I mean, I'm going to talk about approvals and stuff like that, but also you've got externally, you may want to send an extra transaction to your customers saying, hey, we're confirming your order, or here's your tracking number before the end of the day. So at least you're stopping some of the problems of phone calls that might be coming in that can cause some backups of time and energy. Again, I talked about the approvals, and I use it in approvals, but realistically, it's any sort of workflow. Maybe you create a distribution list instead of an individual person for that workflow, whether it's an approval or not. So it goes to more than one person, because sometimes, obviously these people are now working different shifts, they're spreading out, they're rotating shifts, whatever the case may be. They may not be 9 to 5 every day anymore. Now it might be, working second shift today, and they'll be working, third or first next week, whatever the case may be, if you're alternating stuff. So you got to keep an eye on that. And you may want to have, your backup in the backups backup in the distribution list, just so you can make things happen and keep things moving. Because every time you spend a day that something doesn't process, it's another day lost. Especially your watch lists. Again, we talked about those before, but maybe we get those so they're people are getting notified by email when something hits the critical stage on a watch list. For whether it's items, clients, or suppliers, something like that. So keep those things in mind, because those are things that you can probably do right now pretty easily. And another thing we've been doing a lot of work with people on is some of their scheduled jobs. Running stuff in the scheduler is always fine when it's status quo. But suddenly now things are not status quo. I mean, work orders, POs, fixed slips, invoices, all those things are normally run anyway. You may want to take a review on some of these and maybe add more or more directed runs. So when I talk about pick lists, for instance, I mean, we talked earlier about maybe some of your customers are only open or pick for receipts on Wednesdays and Saturdays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, whatever the case may be. You really need to set that up and make sure they get picked up in the right time. So you don't want to, ship something, force something out if they're not going to get it anyway. So you want to ship it on Tuesday if it's going to be the Wednesday, or Monday for Wednesday, whatever the case may be. So these are things to think about on that. We also have considered on some of these, we're setting up maximum order quantities for people to help eliminate the hoarding and stockouts in some important products. You know, and you also, it's just like you see in the store. I mean, people say, hey, you can order one roll of toilet paper. All right, well, all right, fine. But I mean, you can still set the same thing up in JD Edwards. You can stop some of these people from ordering 1,000 when they really need 25. And also, the other question that keeps coming up is who needs the info if you're not at the office? So let's say you've got reports that are running on a regular basis, and you take those reports and you slice them and dice them and hand them out to people. Well, maybe you need to send that information to those people directly because you're not going to be there necessarily, or you're going to be somewhere else. So these are just things to talk about and consider. Because these are issues we've been running into over the last couple of weeks. So there. So excuse me. Also, just to finish up some of this customer discussion, by the way. So you know, your delivery time is increasing because social distance at the warehouse, you know, affects your prep time. You need to make that maybe it's a preference you want to set to, you know, when someone places an order and you already have like a 3-day time turnaround, maybe make that 5. Maybe you do whatever makes sense for you as a company. These are just simple preference. It's not a big deal. It's just you know, set that up. Maybe when you do an order confirmation, you send a delivery estimate. You know, make sure that gets out there. Maybe there's something on an email that goes out to them that, you know, let them know. You know, maybe they want to cancel because it's a minimum quantity or to minimize returns. So if they can't do certain dates, it lets them change their date. Whatever the case may be, we need to get back to you with information from the customer as easiest way possible. Again, updating customers' order processing status more frequently. Again, it might be something that you do order acknowledgement to begin with, but maybe you want to send something that's saying I'm ship confirming it, your order's in process or something like that, and send them the tracking number as well. If you don't do that, you might want to consider doing that now because it's certainly going to help you down the road, especially when, you know, again, phones will ring and there's nobody there to answer it, right? Again, you can even add active links to the client email for one click and cancel order and check order status, that type of thing. Especially if you've got customer self-service set up, that'll be awesome. Simple one is supply chain planning. I mean, you hate to do this after years of trying to reduce your inventory. Is this a time in the period where you need to bump things up a little bit? Probably. I know that everyone spends their whole day trying to reduce inventory costs and all that stuff. Well, you know what? Your supply chain is not normal anymore. It's very much changed. So you got to consider some of those things. Just have to say it out loud. And how can we make your current situation better going forward? Well, okay, I'm going to try to tell a story here, and I don't want it to sound silly because that's why I put a bench on this picture here. You know, we got a bench from my in-laws when they passed away. My wife liked the bench, so we got the bench. It's 40 years old. It's been sitting around our fire pit for a while. And, you know, every couple of years we sand it and we paint it. And, well, it's just not the same. Yes, it's a bench. Yes, my daughter can sit in it, but when her boyfriend comes, they both can't sit on it because it'll probably break. It's not that strong. It's old and brittle. So, you know, the reason I brought that up is, yes, it works, but could it be fixed and be made better? Yes. So that being said, I'm going to go to the first bullet here. You know, consider the shelved projects that you were once considering, but had decided not to do. Maybe because, you know, you didn't want to take the time to add the additional modules or do the development, or if you're in the current tools, even create an orchestration that could do some of this stuff automatically for you. You might want to reconsider that because now is a good time to dust those off and at least look at them because you know what? Some of those things will probably save you some time and energy and manpower. And that's kind of what we're at right now, seeing that everything's a short staff. So saying that, you know, you got to look at what doesn't work with a short staff. I mean, I'm sure a lot of things are really falling short or taking a little longer than they should be. Just kind of keep some of those in mind and you know, put it on a paper and we'll chat with us about it. You know, maybe we can help you or come up with something that someone else has done as well. So think about those things. And, you know, again, also what info takes a lot longer It takes a long time to get processed and disseminate to other people. These are common things that we deal with, that if you've got something like that, you know, I get this report and I have to send it to somebody and they have to edit it and they have to do this, and then they send it to somebody and then they split it up and send it out to everybody. Well, maybe we need to get that done a little more cleanly. So with that being said, I want to introduce Elena Tatelman. She's going to take up some of this, the next couple of slides, and I'll jump in when I need to, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Dan. Yes, and as we say about some development and automation, what really we try to propose to you. And really we want to try to think a little bit outside of the box. And when we say development, really what's available for us. And we want to pay your attention for some robotic process automation and IoT devices. In current version of GD AdWords, we have such a great product as an Orchestrator that made a lot of RPA inside GD AdWords. It can repeat some processes, it can create documents, it can create journal entry. But what we can do also in addition with orchestration, we can add some IoT device, Internet of Things device, and maybe some machine learning. When we say currently about robots, about machine learning, what we can do? For in the modern market, everyone knows that we have some Google machine learning, we have Amazon, and a lot of big companies are using machine learning and IoT devices for everyday operation. But it's not just for big companies. Machine learning really available for everyone. And what we can do? We can compare images. Google can 100% tell you what do you have on your picture, dog or cat or rabbit. And in the same way, with the same idea, using IoT devices, using machine learning algorithm, we can compare all images for your end product. If you have image of how ideal product looks like, you can compare any product that came out from your machine and find if the quality good enough. It's something that can be done in quality control. We have already smart devices that can weigh, measure items. They can move items for specific distances. They can move items from box, outside the box. We have even recognized speech, because I think most people use Google or iPhone Siri, and it can recognize speech, it can recognize your commands, it can print text, it can read text, recognize some colors, some shapes. Some of couple examples that we had and did recently. Using machine learning and Orchestrator, we can count how many small boxes you have inside one big box. You can exactly tell and see if your item have a good quality or bad quality based on list of criteria and based on list of items. As Dan told, the most challenge for us is social distance. A lot of people like me and Dan, we are lucky, we can work remote, but most people cannot have this ability and they still need to go every day on some plants, on warehouses, and keep doing their work. And the IoT device, robotic process automation, orchestrator, machine learning, it's already here, and it's something that can help reduce some hours, improve some processes, or maybe even make your current process better. I know that a lot of people just now struggle with that we cannot attend a gym, we don't have access to coaches. And for example, I just ordered for myself smart clothing that allow me to do yoga, and my coach, not really my coach, it's really computer, just tell you if your movements are right, what you need to change, like move your feet six feet right or left or something like that. And exactly the same we can apply and do the same processes for GD AdWords. We have orchestration in place. The first idea of Orchestrator was managing of Internet of Things device. It came on the market as Internet of Things, and it's still here. Any type of Internet of Things device have some protocols that can be connected to GD AdWords system, and it can receive and send data from GD AdWords and to GD AdWords. And it's not really only about GD AdWords, it's about any system. Any system can be integrated with another system. And if we just try to think a little bit outside of the box, what's available, what we can do, what type of automation we can add using machine learning, using some smart device, robotic process automation, we can come out with some better automation that we had before. Okay, I think then if you can move to next. Okay. And when we say about ERP system, we already in place when we want to use a future ERP system. We want to use really intelligent ERP. And when we say about intelligent ERP, it's a little bit different than just systems that store our transaction. And when we say about, I really like the definition of intelligent ERP, that it differs from legacy solution because they are specifically designed to automate and optimize business processes through machine learning and advanced analytics. And really, if we say about characteristics of our ERP system and intelligent ERP, it's usually characterized by ability and connecting to devices with data information appearing in our ERP interface, and we have this ability using an Orchestrator or any other product that for integration, handling analytics of big data, including inbuilt algorithms. We can combine and create an integration between GD AdWords and machine learning platforms and send data back and forth today. Leveraging machine learning on those massive data sets. If we have Google machine learning, we have other vendors on the market who already use some big machine learning algorithms and allow to us just use their results like image recognition, voice recognition. We have vendors on the market like Arduino with smart devices that can connect using PHP or Java to GD AdWords via Orchestrator. And we are just utilizing cloud deployment to cope the amount of data, and we use GD AdWords on the cloud. We can use GD AdWords on premise. And we really want to use a more intuitive user experience. And with UDO object, with UX1, we can create a really seamless user experience already today in GD AdWords. We almost have everything that we need to create an intelligent ERP today and do not wait for tomorrow. And can you move next one? It's you.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute there for a second. Yeah, so this is just like, how can we prepare for some of the future interruptions? I mean, Lord knows we don't want this to happen again the way it is with the illness, but we'll see what happens next, right? But again, if you're currently up to date on tools, like Elena said, I mean, consider using Orchestrator to assist. We can really automate some of the notifications internally a little bit different than you do without orchestrations. Whether it's approvals, stock outs, or low stock, whatever, order notices, stuff like that you can actually trigger off things to users to really eliminate the time lag we talked about earlier. I need this and I need this now, or this is going to consume all our inventory before it actually happens. You can get that stuff, notified, right? Automate your notifications to your suppliers that, hey, I'm sending you purchase orders, or I've sent this purchase order, and maybe you can send it a little differently than you've been sending it recently. I've got a change order, I've got payments that I've made. Guess what? It's coming your way. Life is good, right? Sending stuff to your customers that, here's your shipping notification and tracking information, and link it back to, FedEx or UPS, or, acknowledgement of your order and an invoice, maybe a little bit differently than you're doing it now. Maybe you can do it real time almost. So these are things that we should consider utilizing Orchestrator for as well. And if you're up to date, you can certainly do it. You can also even do this even without Orchestrator, but if you're not up to the tools. But like I said, let's get to where you need to be. If that was a thing to think about, getting up to the latest tools release, this is as good a time as any to do that for sure. Get you up next. There you go.
And when we say about Orchestrator and about GD whatever we have, we really have Orchestrator as one of the main platforms that can help and bring your ERP to totally next level. We can use Orchestrator to combine and equip your current equipment with additional Internet of Things device. And you can use this process in any type of your warehouse, manufacturing, transportation modules and departments. You already can improve and change your user interface, and we know that a lot of people who works in the field, they maybe don't have computers that they can use and sit all the day, but you have mobile application. You can create a specific role-based mobile application that can be just joined and add to GD Adverts as additional place of entering data or checking data. Of course, as usual, we want to make any process inside system as fast as possible and simple as possible. And when we have currently a lot of people who gets ill or laid off, you still need to do the same process, and maybe it's another consideration what can be automated, what type of process inside GD Adverts we can do using Orchestrator. And of course, any type of integration, it can be something stable and that you will use forever. It can be something temporary while you don't have enough stuff in your facilities. But integration can be done with any other system, devices, or smart devices. Can you move? And when we say any type of machine learning of Internet of Things, it can be done both ways. The orchestration can help us receive information from any IoT device or send this information back. For example, we can use additional smart devices in our warehouse machine and ask this device to get a full picture and analyze how many boxes we receive. 5, 6, 10, whatever, and send this information back to system and just create a purchase order receipt. And then compare this item weight with our expected weight. If our expected weight exactly the same, we can just do this automated order receiving process, send back information where these items needs to be stored, and ask our robots and our machine move these items directly to their location. Any process that we are doing currently and we use people and we have made some photo, we can do some measurements like weight, size, shape, something like that. It's something that we can use with smart devices and combine the smart devices as part of our team. Really, they will do exactly the same process as we can do by every day with people. It will be just somehow little helper. And for our system, it will not be a totally new project. We still will use the same GD Adverts, the same system, the same application. We will store data the same. We just use a different devices to help to do our everyday job, maybe to help keep us social distance and allow people run some process faster with some help. Can you move next? And we have a lot of examples of some process of machine learning, what we can do. Any process that we have in system and we can do it manually, we can try and integrate this process with our equipment, with some smart devices, and measures and inform GD Adverts with this data. It can be some alerts, it can be some equipment status, we can create sales order, we can create order transfers using Orchestrator with combination of some machine learning or Internet of Things. And when we say machine learning and Internet of Things, of course, the most easiest is thinking about warehouse, manufacturing, transportation, but it also can be applied to any part of GD Adverts. Every time when we have something that we do manually, Like Dan said, example, send emails, send copy of these emails, check if we receive answer, if we receive answer, get some confirmation. It's something that we can just automate and try to use with JD AdWords and minimize our people time and activities that we will do today, but we can just run this process different for the current period of time. For some process that really looks better and help us improve our everyday operation, they can work forever. Can you move next? And it's really what we have.
Yep.
Brooke.
I believe Brooke is next, and is she here?
Yeah.
Hey.
I am here. I'm so sorry. Thank you guys so much. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for your presentation. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. I couldn't join you first thing. Thank you guys. Thanks so much, Dan and Elena, for your presentation. I just want to go into a few follow-up items, and then we'll move into our question and answer section of our webcast. And our webcast today is part of our ongoing free educational webcast series on JD AdWords. And next week, I just wanted to let you guys know that we do have the Quest Forum digital event, which is Innovation Week, and it's now online and free for everybody to attend. So if you haven't been ever been able to go, now is the time to do it because it is for free. So these are the current sessions that we have right now. If you go down to our website, the link is down there at the bottom of the screen, and you can check out what other sessions we have, as well as it'll take you to the Quest website to register as well. All right, and then next slide, Dan, thank you. And then we also have some upcoming virtual workshops. We have on May 14th, right now it's waitlist only because we only have room for a certain number of attendees because it is a hands-on workshop. And that is how to use JD AdWords E1 Orchestrator. And then we also have one on Thursday, May 21st, and that is our virtual JD AdWords UX1 workshop. And the links for these are currently listed on the screen. And if you would like to sign up, you can just go out to our website. Awesome, that's good. You can move forward. Thanks, Dan. All right, and then make sure you check out erptalk.com, which is a problem-solving forum where you can get your JD AdWords and other enterprise applications questions answered, as well as contribute your answers to others' questions. And also make sure you stay connected with us on social media. All of our current handles are currently listed on the screen. And you can see our most up-to-date posts on webcasts, certain events that we have, industry insights, and a lot more. And we also provide extensive free educational resources for the JD AdWords community, including our weekly educational webcasts, our monthly newsletter called the GSI Insider, our online resource center where you can access our on-demand webcast white papers and more. And we also offer on-site and virtual workshops. Right now it's just virtual workshops. And if you'd like to sign up for any of our email reminders for upcoming webcasts or a monthly newsletter, or to create an account, go to getgsi.com, go over to resources and events on the main page, and then you can select JD AdWords on the right-hand side. All right. Oh, sorry, you can go one more, Dan. Thank you. All right, and I see we do have a few questions submitted. I would like to remind you that if you would like to still submit a question online, you can do so through the question panel in the GoToWebinar console window on the right side of your screen. If you did minimize it earlier, just click the left-facing arrow key, and then you can input your questions down at the bottom. All right, so our first question here is from Bruce, and he just asked if this was all going to be available afterwards, and the answer is yes. If those of you who have attended our webcast before, you'll know that we do have all of the presentation slides as well as a copy, or not a copy, I'm sorry, a recording on our YouTube channel where you can access it and share it with others in your company. Yeah, we will send you an email for that afterwards. I'm sorry. Okay, so that looks like it's all of our questions for today. Just as a follow-up, I just want to ask that you complete a short 1-minute survey when you exit, and you will be receiving an email with a link to our resource center where you can get the recording and a copy of the presentation. And we will do the drawing for the $25 Amazon gift card, and anyone that attended the entire webcast will be eligible, and we will notify the winner. Now, if you do have any follow-up questions for Dan, Elena, or myself, our contact info is currently listed on the screen. And again, thank you guys so much for your presentation, and thank you everybody for attending today. And we hope that you stay safe and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.